and Astral Authority really like to bring some unorthodox picks to their sets.
And we'll see exactly what they can do with that, because this could be an interestingly spicy set between the two. Average game length, I say, over on box is a little bit longer than that of PC right now. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just teams being a little bit more careful than the SPL teams, because SPL, if you look at them, they have such a rich history. They know how to close out games very effectively when they do have a lead. Console side of things, they're still trying to figure out the right path towards that endgame.
Well, Zeus and Kurnonos banned out by Authority, and then Susano taken away too, as well as Raven. So it's Fafnir's available here, Bellona's available too, Terra's available. What's your choices?
Fafnir. I'm looking at the Fafnir specifically for Astral Authority. It's a really great support, but Osiris...
I knew this one. I was like, hang on, there's a solo laner missing here, and I couldn't work out which one it was.
Well, Osiris is going to be very aggressive for Wolves in that lane. It's going to allow him to really control and dictate the early pace of the game.
Khepri immediately locked in by Elevate, though. Going to give that one over to, I believe it's Kenshin, over in the support role. And the Nemesis, too. Nemesis, something that started to shine back in the meta once again. It's basically, you get Nemesis, you get Asunder because of her ultimate, and you give her Asunder, and then she's got 2 ultimates.
Well, Dr. L is going to be playing that Nemesis in that jungle role. Chang'e locked in for Astral Authority. Now, the question is that going to be mid, or is that going to be jungle for Chaotic Purpose? Not something we've seen out of him.
I was going to say, yeah, we've not seen too much mid lane Chang'e for a while. Generally, we've seen it in the jungle, but since the changes to Chang'e, a little bit of nerfs here and there in terms of the heal and the damage output more often than not, but it kind of slowed down what Chang'e brought in the early game for the control of the jungle. It's one of the reasons Raven rose as well, is because they've both got those CC immune abilities. The overhead kick coming into play, and the dance as well that gets them out of danger.
Well, considering just how diverse the God Pool is from Chaotic Purpose in the Assassin role, I don't necessarily think this Chang'e's for him. I think Kovi's going to be playing it to allow Chaotic Purpose to be playing super aggressive out of that role, make the plays, and then look for a lot of the sustain to make the team fights last a little bit longer for Astral Authority.
Well, Fafnir actually did get banned away there. Nobody decided to pick them up whatsoever, and Transonics picked up that Jingwei for himself against the Ho Yi. The Elevate locked in afterwards. Final ban for Astral Authority before Elevate looking for a solo laner and a mid laner to round out their squad.
Really smart idea to pick the Jingwei for Transonics. Not only can he play aggressively whenever he needs to, but by winning those exchanges, he'll get back to the lane rather quickly using that passive. And not only that, he has really good safety net to be able to escape from the clutches out of that Nemesis jungle. Sun
Wukong, the rise to fame for him in the solo lane has started and continued on. Up against the Osiris matchup, he's going to have his work cut out for himself, just Jingu banging and sitting under the tower until he can farm it completely with just that one ability.
But Brochacho taking his safety pick here out of this Geb, and a whalish last pick for Astral. Chaotic Purpose really likes these early game aggressive gods, and looking at the team composition from Astral Authority, a little bit of setup here. You got the Geb knockup, the Jingwei Persistent Gust knockup. Not only that, you're really looking at the Hu Yi dive bomb to be able to snag him out of the sky.
Definitely going to cause some issues here for Elevate, but I do like that Sol pick as the final pick. Worried a little bit about the all-in potential that Astral Authority have. Sol, one of the best mid laners for safety with that Disapparate, extra mobility when you pop that, and as well you also turn into corporeal form, which allows you to survive so much damage, and then you still got Aegis and Beads if you need them too.
A lot of diversity in the mage items, so we see the resurgence of Sol in that mid lane between the Stellar Burst and the Supernova skills very well towards that late game. Not only that, Shogun's Kusari can amplify her attack speed in some of these objective controlling fights to just build up her heat passive meter that much further.
So the two supports are the real talking point here. You can see that one of them has gone for the Lono's Mask and Sunder. The other one gone for the Bombers and Sunder too, which normally tells you that Kenshin on the Khepri will be looking for jungle control early on if they can, trying to tank up some of these early buffs before the minions potentially meet each other in the mid lane.
Transonics.
And instead, looking to get those buffs under their belt for a small advantage early, especially with a Ho Yi.
Yeah, we're trying to see a different styles between these supports, between those two starter items, but I love what Elevate are doing here, because a lot of these players and teams have been experimenting with starting their own red buff, and Ho Yi, if you find the right angle to find the double or triple bounce, you're going to be clearing that red buff very quickly, especially when your support does have that Bombas.
I do like this adjustment coming out from Astral Authority here. They realized what Elevate wanted to do, and they lost their red buff on the left-hand side, granted. But what ended up happening was you saw Brochacho rotated all the way towards the mid lane to help support the mid laner, which allowed Astral Authority's solo and jungle to go and invade the blue buff after pressuring, and now contest the speed speed buff at the end and steal it away.
Oh, Chaotic Purpose hitting level 2, picks up the speed buff. Doesn't really want to commit too far between that tier 1 and tier 2 tower. Instead, just going to capitalize on farming these right side mid Harpies. Great start thus far from Astral Authority, despite Transonic still being level 1. Look what he did. He went into the Ninja Tabby back to base, and now he's going to be having a lot of mobility and power in this laning phase.
And it'll just allow him to stay away from Elevate more often than not, even if he sits in this 2v1. You did also see Astral Authority, Brochacho and Kovi there went and invaded the red buff, but they didn't really like their angle. They had no pressure in the duo lane, and the duo lane in the mid would have caused him some problems too. Brochacho just giving a little slap to Baronic. I love doing that with rollout just to reposition, because he does pretty good damage too sometimes. You
just got to assert your dominance, and what better way than just knocking them 10 miles back into their own tier 1 tower, then you just wave at them.
When Lassis used to play all the time, every time I was against him in ranked, I'd always roll out on his Rory mid lane. Oh, Kovi gets a kill on Dr. L out of nowhere. I'm surprised by that quick pickup, but round the corner comes Checo, and Brochacho's in a bit of trouble. They really want to pick up a Chaotic Purpose, but Ricochet's down for Checo. He gets hit with the Feather Step, and that's going to force him back too. Kovi and Transonic's now going to give chase to Checo, who's been left alone. He was just trapped around the back, still trying to deal damage, Tolly.
Look how fast Transonics is with the Ninja Tabby, taking that Persistent Gust, amplifying his movement speed even further. That first blood very early on from Astral Authority.
This is terrible.
From this 4-man collapsing, you could just tell how comfortable they are with each other, just being able to make this kind of play, clearing out the mid wave, recognizing that they have this window to attempt to go for a red buff invade, and not only do they get that buff, but they're able to pick up 2 kills along the way.
Yeah, Tolly, this is just better this time round out of Astral Authority. We've seen so far this split from them. They've managed to get themselves the blue buff, the speed buff, the red buff so far out of Elevate's jungle. And that was the first rotation of buffs, mind you. That's a nice big swing. Granted, they lost the red on the left-hand side, but it's still a lead.
Along with the purple on the left side, but it doesn't matter because Transonics recognized that he would be in that 1v2 position. He's like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to back immediately. He actually even sacrificed a wave. He did pick up those 2 little purple ogre minions before backing, picking up that Ninja Tabby. And because he'd made such a maneuver, he was able to rotate very quickly to that team fight around that red buff.
Interestingly enough, Transonic's trying to use the situation of having that little gold lead, thanks to getting that kill under his belt early, to go for Devourer's Gauntlets next. So he's going for a bit of sustain here. It means he can poke out up against Michael Checo a little bit more often earlier on and cause a couple of problems for him, because he'll be able to survive longer.
We don't normally see this style in Season 4 recently. A lot of other Hunter options trying to, whether it's rushing out crit or Ichabod for the boxing potentially, but the lifesteal is still going to be very impactful just to stay in the laning phase.
4 members strong of Astral Authority in this right-hand side, making sure they deny this red buff again from Elevate and keep them pinned in their own jungle with nothing to really farm over them. Back Harpies after the blue, straight to the speed, and Astral just keep climbing this lead. 4 minutes in, and we're over a 2k lead, Tolly.
Dr. L not even level 5 yet, whereas Chaotic Purpose hits level 6 after that second speed buff invade, just all over the map. And this is the kind of early game pressure that you're really expecting out of the jungler from Astral Authority, and the way his teammates just revolve around him. And it's no wonder why this team is making such an impressive comeback here, despite these 2 splits earlier on in week 1 and 2.
Yeah, a couple of splits for them, and that really hurt them a little bit, especially when it was against Strictly Business and Starboys too, which are 2 teams that on paper you expected them to maybe beat and then struggle maybe against the likes of, you know, Elevate, sorry, not Elevate, Obey or someone like that.
Especially considering how poorly some of those teams played at the LAN. It's actually Dr. L engaging a little bit. Nice little stun onto Kovi. The stuns come raining down, but the beads from Kovi getting him into safety.
I am so surprised that Elevate backed away from that there. They had the full commit on Kovi. His disengage was down, his beads were also down. They hit him with the ricochet and the suns. If they follow up, we would have seen Kovi die there, but I don't think Elevate trusted in themselves to find the kill.
Well, the thing was Transonics having red buff. We see Chaotic Purpose with speed buff. It's very difficult to really team fight right now before these Boots 3 come online. You're looking at the item choices from Baronic. He hasn't back to base yet. He's still sitting on that Soulstone, Tiny Trinket 1. Dr. L still only sitting on Boots 2 after not being able to farm at the same rate after after dying early on.
Well, blue buff dropped by Chaotic Purpose, giving that one over to Wolves as well. Astral Authority after a nice, easy start. Brochacho at level 6, just trying to rotate around as much as possible and get that farm online. It's so important for a support, getting through those first levels and getting that first major aura item online.
And 60 stacks on his Lono's mask. I wouldn't be surprised if Brochacho even sells it as soon as it does hit that 75 stack mark to be able to get that net profit worth of about 266 gold and then rinse and repeat every single time.
Now the difference between him and the Bumba's mask that you see on Kenshin here. Hang on a second, Checo versus Transonics, and Transonics happy to trade out all day. No crit in this build just yet. Actually, he has got a little bit, but he's not going to be able to use it from the explosive bolts. Didn't get a lucky RNG there, but Checo's just pinned under his tier 2 tower now and being poked out consistently. That last bit of poke will force him back to base.
Ooh, Transonics isn't done yet. He's actually trying to proxy between tier 1 and tier 2. The ulti will be used. The rest of his teammates right around the corner of that red buff. It's actually Baronic that's going to fall.
Immediately fall down, and Kenshin wasn't quick enough with the ultimate there around the corner to save him, unfortunately enough. So another free pick for Astral Authority, and after getting that one, they're going to head straight to the Gold Fury, knowing they have a man advantage here.
6.5 minutes in, 4 onto Dr. L, and Kenshin need to find a way to stop the efforts from Astral Authority. Getting pulled back in as Kenshin stunned, knocked up. Suns from Checo trying to save the life of his support. Will find Brochacho though.
Elevate made a big play there. It's Astral Authority that made a huge mistake. Chaotic Purpose going to go down in the mid lane too. After the aggression from Astral Authority, they did not respect the fact Checo had those Suns available, and in the end he just drops him down. That kicks up Brochacho, and Chaotic Purpose ate a lot of free poke too, and now Michael could get another kill in the mid lane onto Covey.
Nice dance away from the ricochet stun, still taking a lot of poke from the enhance. Will have to back to base. Elevate respond with 2 kills of their own. Wolves just being an absolute nuisance, gonna get pulled back in. So 4 players, Lord of the Afterlife, gonna avoid the Tiger Sun and just walking back into his own jungle.
The reason I shouted no is because Kenshin accidentally stepped on the speed buff and picked it up, which they would love to give it over to Dr. L there. So Dr. L actually got a speed buff so far this game.
Well, that's just unfortunate because sometimes you need to try to find the pick, and whenever you have an opportunity to abduct somebody into your team, and if just along the way there's going to be a speed buff, that's just collateral damage there.
As a support player, that's what I'd say too. Listen, man, I was looking for the engage. I didn't mean to steal your speed. Honest. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know, like,
just elbow tap him. Yeah.
I wasn't doing this on purpose, I swear. But thanks for the speed. I'll be back again in a few minutes' time.
I mean, with the reinforced greaves, there's not too much mobility compared to Traveler Shoes outside of combat anyway, and Kenshin, with the abduct, will pull people a little bit closer to his team anyway because of that duration of that crowd control, but getting pinched in, Barana could be in trouble.
Ooh, yeah, he could, but the disapparates now down and trying to still giving chase. Not scared of anyone right now. Gets a nice bit of burst damage off, and a nice shield out of Brochacho as well. Repositions with the agility and avoids the ultimate from Checo and baits him into an awkward spot, and he gets pulled back by Chaotic Purpose. Get over here, Sunshine. You ain't going nowhere. Talk about going nowhere right now. Dr. L's trying to get away as Covey and the Bunny will just about escape.
Elevator just getting pushed back into their own jungle. Gold Fury attempt number 2 by Astral Authority. This time, there is no Hui ultimate around the corner.
Oh, Brochacho in a bit of trouble there. No ultimate available. Will shield himself to keep himself standing. Dr. L still looking to try and pick up the pieces of anybody that comes around this corner. Dashes onto Wolves. Has to dash away as soon as Wolves goes, really? I'm not interested in fighting you, my friend. I'll eat you up.
It just seems that there's a slight disconnect here out of Elevate. A little bit of a misposition by Wolves as he was left alone staggered after that second Gold Fury attempt, but Kenshin was just so far away from Dr. L that he wasn't able to even find the route or the abduct, at least maybe even forcing out the Lord of the Afterlife from Wolves could even allow Elevate to be the ones to aggress towards Gold Fury.
Well, Purple being taken by Michael Checo and Kenshin there, and now he's going to rotate in the lane. He has no ricochet here, does Michael Checo. Still trying to box against Transonics, who has Devourer's Gauntlets at 35 stacks. Has some support, though, coming out from Kenshin coming round. And a good little boxing duel out of Checo there will force Transonics back. He was quite happy to take it at one point.
2-level advantage here. There's a big difference in these power spikes as Michael Checo does have Ichabod finished, whereas Transonics didn't have Ichabod finished at the time, just now finishing that off. Not only that, only sitting at about 35 stacks of his Devil Gloves, so he doesn't have as much lifesteal or physical power as he would like.
But I think at this moment in time, I think you won't see Michael Checo want to take a trade with Transonics again, because there's a full item lead for him now in this lane. Yes, Star Items come into play, but that Bluestone is not giving him that much damage, and it's not giving him that much survivability.
Unless Transonics decides to fight under the suns. That bluestone won't pay off too much here. Chaotic Purpose taking a little bit of poke. That Geb shield.
And now Brochacho's an awkward spot. Gets hit by the Nemesis ultimate too. But Dr. L pulled in by Chaotic Purpose and picked up. Checo will take out Brochacho, so it's a 1-for-1. And now a teleport potentially coming in from Wolves. No, it's Delny round the back, and Kobe and Transonics are a little bit far forward. Elevate may look to collapse.
The stun onto Kobe, not doing too much damage. It's only level 1 at this point. Transonics is going to chase down Baronic behind those bad Carpies. Nowhere for him to go.
Just in time before the Disapparate turned up, and now Kobe's still supporting Transonics, but Kobe being focused down more often than not. Checo out of mana here, and Chaotic Purpose doesn't care about the fight. He ignored helping out Kobe, and Downey gets credit for the kill.
Kenshin still having his ultimate, could use it potentially, but Delny will use his own ultimate. Transonics could get turned on, but not really respecting the damage potential here. Instead, Elevate going to take the slight win here. It was a 2-for-1 as Brochacho died earlier on with Kobe, only losing Dr. L in the process.
So they lose Kobe for Delny getting the kill, but they lose a tier 1 tower for Delny teleporting across to this left-hand side of the map. When you look at the big picture here, it's been quite awkward, and the scariest thing is what Transonics has been doing this game on Jingwei. He's fearless.
Astral Authorities always thinking objectively, and no other objective-minded person than Wolves can come to mind out of this team. Always looking for the potential farming, min-maxing capabilities. Already finishing off this mystical male, not even 12 minutes into the game, putting him in a really comfortable spot here.
Definitely is, and Osiris with already a 2-level lead too. That's a really good situation to be in for himself. Love the fact Brochacho on the Geb went for sovereignty here. Just because he realized he's being hit by mainly physical damage, the Suns are always going to be hitting him. So trying to get a little bit tankier in that regard, on the physical side more so than magical too. It's a good decision. It doesn't happen all the time because some people just automatically go thieves. As Checo takes on Transonics again.
And not only that, for the sovereignty, you're looking at the HP 5. A little bit of action here as Transonics is going to bully Checo out. Brochacho going to force the beats out of Dr. L. It's actually a 4-on-2.
4 against 2. Kobe's now turning up. Brochacho's low, but that supernova didn't do any work whatsoever. And reinforcements for Astral Authority here. Baronic hasn't seen the Chaotic Purpose was right next to him, and he has to disapparate quickly back to the tier 1 tower as Chaotic Purpose now looking at the purple buff. Red buff also exposed here for Astral Authority. They're the ones in a better position to look to secure this.
Brochacho is a little low here, relying on the sustain out of Kobe, but it's actually Wolves that made the rotation as well. We will see a 5-on-5 here momentarily. Nice little double stun from Wax and Moon. Kobe finds one. The ultimate out of Kenshin, going to save his life for the moment.
Surrounded is Kenshin, and he will fall down. The ricochet from Checo was okay, but as he leaps away, they could have seen Astral Authority continue to aggress, but instead, the call comes out from Brochacho quite clearly, as he was the first one heading that way for the Gold Fury to be started and get the global gold in the bank.
I think this time, third time, is the lucky try here out of Astral Authority. They tried once and failed. Second time was thwarted. Third time here, after the first 2 picks, was successful. Even doing a good job zoning and killing Michael Checo, giving them a very commanding 7,000 gold lead.
Definitely, it's a big lead. That it's about 500 gold per minute that's going on here for the side of Astral Authority, putting them in a commanding lead. Not just at the experience again. The first 10-15 minutes of the game, experience swings are actually a bit more monumental than you'd expect because of the relics, because of the extra damage you get from the abilities, plus the extra survivability you get from just leveling up and getting more health pools.
And whenever your team has this kind of a lead, both in gold and experience, it's very important to start grouping up here. At least as 4 members, maybe have Transonic split push because he is the Jingwei, or potentially Wolves because he has a teleport. But either way, this is a nice spot for Astral Authority to start grouping up and start getting all these tier 1 towers off the board, get the Portal Demon, extend the 7,000 gold lead to beyond that 5-digit marker.
And I did see one thing in the builds as I'm looking down. I see 2 actually. One of his sleepiest, first of all, on Kovi, so he's gone for the extra sustain and life and survivability for the healing for his team. Something you don't see too much anymore. But the other one is Stone of Gaia on the side of Kenshin, playing that Capri support. It's his first major item. It's not necessarily the best item for the team, but it does stop him getting knocked up once every 90 seconds, which is useful against Geb and Chaotic Purpose.
Absolutely, because every single time he does get pulled and knocked up, he has to use his Scarab's Blessing on himself instead of his teammate. So even though he might not be getting the auras from the other items, by not having to use his own ultimate on himself, he's saving that important cooldown for the rest of his teammates, keeping them alive. So by proxy, it actually does help the team.
Talking about proxies, look where Transonics is right now.
He's just chilling, man, between Tier 2 and Phoenix.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Baronic's already dead, all in and soloed by Kovi. Dr. L ain't happy about that, but the bad news is Chaotic Purpose is making sure Dr. L just has to continue being unhappy about it, as he does make sure Covey survives. Wolves starting up the Portal Demon. Transonics, after clearing all the waves on the left-hand side, now he's going to be able to rotate in here. As a nice little play from Delny, trying to secure that for his team. He's still in trouble, though, and he doesn't have his cloud available. The monkey is about to fall.
No ultimate either for Kenshin, as he had to try to save the life out of Dr. L that was trying to play aggressive. Nice little play here. Coming Astral Authority, they're always starting to group up here, heading into the 16-minute mark, even with this Portal Demon, allowing Wolves to get back into the thick of things, and now it's the tier 2 in their mindset.
Yeah, this one's a little bit out of hand right now. Totally, Astral Authority are really running away with this game. Dr. L flanking around the back, though. Going to look to commit onto Covey, who immunes some of the extra in-hand damage coming out, but the tier 2's fallen, and Dr. L has to dash away to safety. Shield already down, but the burst from Featherstep and Transonics is too much. Fantastic supernova on the Suns from Checo gets Covey, but that's only one as Wolves picks up Kenshin in the back line.
Checo's not done yet, but he has to dive bomb back into the Phoenix. So far, it's a 4-on-3. Delny going to use that Tiger form. Missing out Transonics. He's just too mobile, but Delny's getting the better end of this. The sustain is just not good enough for Transonics.
He still has his ultimate available, and with multiple members to protect him as well, he can just ult over the tier 2 tower line, back to the safety of his team, and meanwhile that clone will wear off from Delny, and he can just now sustain back up in the jungle of the minions.
Using that ultimate right before entering that tier 2 tower, the immunity frames while you're traveling in the sky, you're not going to be absorbing any of those tower shots, even landing outside between the tier 1 and tier 2. You could tell Transonics truly understands the finer intricacies of the mechanics of this game.
And the other thing we didn't fail to mention there was the Fatalis that he's picked up too. This is Trans just being so confident in how this game's gone so far that he's like, you know what, Duval's gone as Iqval, we are stomping this game right now. It feels like if I go for Fatalis, I can really put the beat down on some more. Wolves forced to ult away, but it's created enough room for him to just wander back to the safety of his tier 1 tower, as the rest of Astral Authority, well, he's 2 members of, will take the left-hand tier 1.
Level 10 Nemesis. Trading her ultimate is pretty efficient here with the Jotun's Wrath, though, against this level 16 Osiris. The question is, can Elevate start grouping up and take advantage of that one ultimate that's on cooldown? Without that ultimate, you're not going to have the escape, and you're not going to have that passive meter buildup to give you that important 16% physical damage mitigation, along with 8% magical.
Completely agree. Covey the mid lane now, level 14. We saw how much work he did to Veronica in his own with that Waxing Moon and the full combo. And there was nothing Veronica could do. Just CC'd in place, no escape available.
Everything is just going south for Elevate. They don't even have second or relics for 3 of their members. Dr. L, Baronic, and Kenshin still sitting at level 11, whereas we see 10 relics all across the board for Astral Authority.
When a Geb is above your jungler and your mid laner by 2 levels, you know you're having a bad time.
Not a pleasant moment for Elevate. They did relatively well so far against Soar and Strictly Business in weeks 1 and 2, but it's just not looking the same here as Astral Authority.
He's under the wall.
Are just playing on another level.
Goodbye, Checo. You will be missed. Chaotic Purpose is looking for a cheeky steal over the wall there with the Rising Jaguar. Oh, sorry, not the Rising Jaguar, but the Jaguar through the wall, I should say. And now, meanwhile, in mid lane, Elevate is just trying to farm. That's all they want to do. Please give us some farm. Authority's like, well, you know what? We'll get some farm too by taking a gold.
We're going to kill you first and then take the gold. That's all the farm that they really need. No matter how much Elevate farm in these lanes, the Gold Fury will heavily outweigh that. Kenshin's going to negate that persistent gust, wave the Stone of Gaia. Wolves trying to defend his tier 1, 1-on-2. Level 14 Delny, level 11 Dr. L, and nowhere to go for Kenshin.
And meanwhile, Kenshin, as a Chaotic Purpose, does manage to pick up Dr. L. Transonics will pick up Kenshin after forcing his ultimate, just chase him down with the Fatalis. And now Delny in an awkward spot. Nice feather step from Chaotic Purpose, and Delny, recognizing he was in a lot of trouble there, ults early on, spins around going, where do I go? Where do I go? I'm going to go back the way I came.
Trying to escape between a rock and a hard place, trying to back, but not going to be allowed here. Wolves is around the corner. Covey making his presence known as well. If he can find the knockup, he should be fine, but he's actually going back to the side.
They should have buy time for some reason and just keep them all busy, but at the same time, there's still people of an Astral Authority taking tier 2 towers on the left. Transonics would rather kill Checo than get a tier 2 because they realize that's how much of a lead it is, and now it's a fiesta of Astral Authority having fun with the game.
So you could just, a lot of people will look at this game and be like, man, Elevate are just not playing well here, but honestly, Astral Authority are making them look a lot worse than they actually are. And people need to remember just how strong this Elevate squad really are and how they got into the finals in the last split of the LAN.
Exactly, they have such a good team that they've been around for a while now, totally. and they took the best players from around the North American scene. That's what people saw. They saw Wolves, they saw Chaotic Purpose, they saw Covey, they saw Brochacho, Transonics. These were like the box guys that people recognized from multiple teams that caused them some problems. Quick pause coming through here at 18-5 as Astral are looking to try and secure this game one.
20-minute attempt here of a Fire Giant. They have a 15,000 goal lead, and this is the Astral Authority that we all know that won that last split of the land.
Yeah, and that's a good performance from Astral Authority so far. We'll get back to the game momentarily between these two. What do we need to see change in game two, though, for Elevate? Because in my head, this game's done.
Elevate just needs to make sure that they don't lose too much in that early game. That red buff collapse on them just really staggered a lot of their potential to farm. They lost 2 members. They lost the red buff. They already lost the speed and the blue even before that began. And ever since that point, it started to be a trickle-down process where they couldn't find any sort of farm after the fact. Their only good play that they did was when they stopped the Gold Fury time from Astral Authority, but they didn't even get anything off of that. There was no buffs for them to invade after.
It was kind of the combination of them losing those buffs and I think the speed buff at the start where Chaotic just managed to steal it away, put them behind anyway, and then when they managed to pick off one member in the jungle around the red buff, that's where it just started to have this snowball effect through all the lanes that caused them so many problems.
And then when Delny made the rotation, whereas Wolves stayed in that solo lane, getting that tier 1 tower, he was level 13 to Delny's level 10. It was just an imbalance in the solo lane as well, making a bigger impact in the back line. Not only that, getting those second relics are just so important for that team fight mid-game aspect.
Yeah, completely agree. Good little work from Astral Authority so far. Elevating game 2, need to correct a few issues with their early game. Were you happy with picks and bans?
The picks and bans here out of Astral Authority made a lot of sense considering they had the knockups into the pull. I think they did a great job in terms of trying to shut down some of the members out of Astral Authority, but they couldn't really get the better end of them because of just how diverse the God pool is from these veterans.
Yeah, very true indeed. And Elevate going to have to correct a couple of things for the next set. We've still got more games to come today as well as we're waiting for this pause to end up. This Fire Giant should go Astral's away. Do you expect this game to last much longer?
No, I kind of give it maybe about 2 or 3 more minutes because all the tier 2 towers are pretty much off the map once this Fire Giant gets taken. The question is how cleanly can Astral Authority siege these Phoenixes? Are they going to start diving, or they play as a cohesive unit and play relatively safe?
I'm pretty sure they're going to dive in multiple times here. But what happens if Elevate get off, if they manage to steal this Fire Giant that we just saw happening there?
I mean, if they steal it, I don't think that it's going to be the tipping point that they need, but it could be that potential stall factor and then give some more breathing room to get some more farm and catch up to the levels. Because right now, all across the board, every member from Elevate are just too far behind level-wise.
Yeah, very true. They're so far behind and they can't get any experience because all the waves are pushing in, but so are Astral Authority alongside them. Who stood out to you so far in this game one, though?
It's got to be a lot of everybody from Astral Authority, but if it's just one person, I gotta say Transonics because just of how he started his build. He knew he was gonna be 1v2. He sacrificed a whole wave to back, finish his Ninja Tabby, pick up some potions, get back to the wave, even deny 2 purple Ogre minions respecting the purple buff invade.
Yeah, I think the thing with Transonics today was how much he just manned up and stood there. Like, there's a lot of times where most AD carries would try and run for their lives, like, no, I don't want to fight, like, you're a warrior coming at me. But he kept standing and boxing with a lot of people where he's like 2v1, 3v1, that little fight that we saw coming out there earlier on from Brochacho and Transonics 2, where they were 4v2 at one point and still fighting.
I don't know what they had for breakfast today, but Astral Authority, they're back into their form, I feel like. This could be the potential confidence booster that they need if they can win this game very well here in such a fashion that they have been showing thus far, and then transition that into game 2 with this clean set thus far. This could be the momentum that they need to get the highest standings possible against even trying to surpass Obey Alliance, who hasn't lost a game yet.
That's a good point.
And then try to roll with that into Valencia.
I guess we'll wait for this pause to go through as well. Next question for you, Tully. Probably Astral Authority, Elevate. Where do you expect those two teams to finish this split?
I think Astral Authority are going to be like right behind Obey Alliance, and Elevate are just going to be on that cusp, trying to contest for it.
And you'd say they're like the top 3 potentially then over in North America right now with how it's going?
Elevate are definitely at least top 3, but the question is, can they at least find a split here in this set, trying to later on succumb and get to that second position.
Okay, we're ready to go back in game now for the end of this one. And Astral Authority will take the Fire Giant down momentarily. They're going to take their time to do it, as Veronica is still dead right now. And it's still 18-5 in the scorecards, 15,000 gold lead. Can Dr. L do it?
Delny, though, from behind. The cudgel was just not well timed here, trying to steal it. Still at about 20%. Dr. L and Delny trying to make the impact around this fire giant. Delny missing out that Sunder, and it's not going to be too much as he has to retreat now.
Yeah, it appears the fire giant still stands as Astral Authority decide to take the fight over, going for the fire giant buff here on this right-hand side. Surrounding Delny from every angle, looking for an opportunity to catch him, but still he'll get away for now until he gets pulled back in, and there's a surrender vote from Elevate. They've given up the goose of that tier